What's up, peeps? This is Todd, and welcome to my show. Today I have Jason Ambro with me. He is a YouTuber. He also has a landscaping business, and Jason has an incredible story, and I wanted to bring him on the channel to talk to you guys out there. Some of you, you think that you have to have a huge fancy degree to make any sort of money or to be able to buy real estate, and we're here to prove to you that you don't. So, Jason, correct me if I'm wrong, but you started a lawn care business when you were 18, like right out of high school. Is that right?
Yeah, basically. Yeah, the business became official in about, I think, 2 weeks before I turned 19. So, but
Okay.
I was basically doing the work even when because I got my first job at 13 years old. And so you and I had worked together. I was this cook. You were the dishwasher at the time.
Yeah, he was a cook and I was a dishwasher.
Yes,
Can you believe that?
I had to work my way up. But no, that was great. I remember, Todd, you working because you used to not like to get your shirt wet.
Yes.
That was one of the big things, because I used to just scrub the dishes and I'd come out soap, but you were really nice and slow and thorough with everything. And it worked out really well. But yeah, so I started my company basically when I was 18. Kind of right out of school. I was already doing the work, but to become an official business with a business license was, right out of school. So
awesome. That's incredible. And so basically, just so the people know, you didn't have to go to school. You just started a business right away. And your business is like landscaping, right?
Correct.
Okay, awesome. So you own a couple of trucks, you do landscaping, and you've gotten some pretty big business clients to do their work too, right?
Correct. Yeah. So yeah, we do mostly what we did was we were going into the landscaping with the install design, but then we decided to go into property maintenance. That was kind of more of our bread and butter. Here where we live is like a retirement community. So it's the average age is about 65 years old. And we had built a name and brand based off the maintenance part. And to get into the landscaping, design, and install, it was going to be a pretty tough game because we were with big dogs that had been around for 20, 30 plus years. So yeah, so we decided to go in. So now we're strictly commercial condo property maintenance. So
awesome. So you're competing with people that have been in the industry for a long time. Here you are, some 19-year-old kid starting your business. Okay, so how much did frugality play into your strategy? Because I know that you lived pretty cheaply for years in like a 400 square foot hut, with your wife, by the way, right?
Yep.
Like you guys were sharing this hut, and you just saved money for what, like 4 or 5 years doing that?
Correct. So yeah, what we decided to do was we came into agreement that everything she made would go straight into a savings account, and everything I made would go straight into paying off bills, and then whatever we had left over straight into the savings. And so for me, as we shared, I shared with you earlier, I used to be horrible with money. The way I used to look at my credit card account was if I had a $300 balance, that meant I have $300 to go spend rather than I have to spend the $1,000 I had on there. So really horrible mindset. So it took us a few years of being married, my wife and I, to get over that mindset of looking at money in a different way, which I didn't do that before. But yeah.
That's incredible. So basically you started off not super great with finances, but you started a business, you figured it out, and you were saving money, and you saved enough money to purchase land cash.
Correct. Yeah, the big goal was, when we first started getting married, we didn't want to get into that debt system. And so when we first had gotten married, starting the business, we were trying to pay everything cash. And so, of course, when you're not making that much lawn care, you can't really buy the nice equipment. So it got to the point where I had to start investing in some nicer equipment. So we did have 2 loans on 2 mowers, which is actually a funny story because when we were thinking about buying a house, we went in to go get a loan, and the lady asked, she says, "Do you have any debt?" And I said, "Yes, we have it on a mower." And she was surprised because she says, well, a couple at 20, 21, 22 years old, whatever it was, she says, typically they already have 2 cars and college debt. She says, you guys have it on a mower, so you're doing pretty good. So the goal was to be as much debt-free as possible. And so finally we decided to be wiser with our money, and within about 3-4 months we paid off about close to $20,000 in debt, which was the 2 mowers, and also we had this invention idea that cost us about $11,000-$12,000 that we were kind of putting money into to see where that would go for. So we were able to pay all that off, and then from there start saving up money. And then the goal from there was everything we bought was paid for cash. So all the mowers, trucks, any kind of a piece of equipment, everything was paid for cash ever since then. And we've done really well up until there. The only debt we have really on the business is about $5,000 on a tractor, but we put about $9,000 down. And when we were purchasing equipment, we only bought things that were 0% interest because I refused to pay anything for interest.
There you go.
That's one thing, one of the things that we were talking about, what we're willing to pay for. I'm not willing to pay for interest.
Yep.
So that's why I try to do everything cash.
That's awesome. So yeah, you're not paying interest on that equipment.
Correct.
You saved up enough money to pay cash for land, and then you started building this house that we're in right now. And I know you guys don't see the whole thing, but it's gorgeous. It's awesome.
Show some pictures of it.
Yeah, we'll put that in there. But I mean, I think your story is so incredible because, okay, so like people get all snooty, right? About money, about finances, about what sort of degrees you have to have. And you were able to start a business when you were 18, not go to college. You figured out the whole money thing. You know, your business that you started is blue collar, really hard work, grind it out. But you're able to do it. You're able to pay cash for land and build this house. Now tell me too, and because you said you paid cash from the equipment, did you ever take advantage of like, you said you have like a $10,000 lawnmower. Do you ever take advantage of like credit card points when you're doing that and getting any cash back? Or are you guys just against credit cards altogether?
No, we for sure use credit. You know, when you're running a business, that cash flow is really important, right? And so, no, credit cards were a big factor for us because we knew that, you know, there are the rewards, especially with business. When we were doing the landscaping installs, that's where we found it most beneficial because when we were buying anything like plants or any kind of materials for the job site, that's going to be reimbursed back on us. Say if it was a $5,000-$6,000 install, well, that $5,000-$6,000 install, basically we're just getting the free points off of that because it's getting paid for. And with a lot of our landscaping jobs, we required half down up front. So basically, we were reaping the benefits. I have a buddy that does roofing that also does that too, where he buys all the materials, thousands of dollars through their credit cards, where they also gain that. So no, we're not against credit cards. I do see that we would spend a little bit more probably in certain areas. So that's, of course, back with my upbringing with not being wise with money, that we had to get, you know, kind of under control and more deciding whether it was a want or a need. But yeah, back to the whole college thing. I knew from a young age I wasn't going to go to college. I knew that I was more of a blue collar worker, and I knew that college wasn't necessarily going to teach me probably what I wanted to get into, because throughout all of school I had different things I wanted to be. So I knew, why go to school if I don't know what I want to be? And so since then I decided to instead buy business tapes that cost not even a fraction, you know, probably what a book costs. But, you know, being on the mower all day for 8 hours a day, I was able to pop music in my ear, but really listen to business advice every single day, learning and knowing the words by heart, to where I'm looking up to these business guys of how to grow your business. And so, yeah, so college wasn't for me. Instead, I'm out making money, learning business at the same time. Rather than being in college, spending money, but not out in the field actually learning it. So
you're out running your business on a lawnmower, listening to podcasts about business, learning how to basically run your business better.
Correct.
That's amazing. Okay, that is such an awesome story. So, yeah, I mean, what advice would you give to anyone out there, you know, who maybe thinks they have to follow a certain path? Because I think a lot of times there's a lot of propaganda about college, and I dropped out of college too. Like, I don't have a degree of any kind. My highest level of completed education is a high school diploma, and there's a lot of
from high school.
Yeah, that's right. There's a lot of propaganda about it, but here you are. You live in this beautiful home. You paid cash for the land, and you started a blue collar. Like, I feel like people like they don't even get it. Like, they think like, oh, you have to have a white collar job, you have to have a degree, you know. And trades aren't even talked about, and you're killing it, by the way. And you know, last thing we'll talk about is you also started monetizing what you do because of YouTube.
Correct.
You started basically a YouTube channel specifically for the lawn care niche and other guys doing what you do, and now you run events and you do videos for them. So tell us about that, because your main business is relatively seasonal, I would imagine. So how are you able to make money throughout the year doing the other things you do?
So it's like I said, I was really bad at making money here in Sequim, where we live, a small town. We don't get snow. So in the wintertime, there's really no work to do. There's very minimal lawn care, landscaping work. And so I knew back in the day that, you know, typically what a lot of guys do in lawn care is they work their butts off in summer and then, you know, basically save to survive winter. And I knew that I just could not do that. So I knew that the only way to learn or to survive in the wintertime to help me with my money was to do year contracts. So with your contract, we basically get paid the same amount throughout the whole entire year. And basically, it's just like getting paid a salary in the business with our clients. What that helped us with was budgeting, because we're getting paid the same amount every single year, surviving through the wintertime. So I work my butt off in summertime, but in the wintertime, like the past 3 months, we just kind of were able to take a step back. I'm able to kind of focus, detox a little bit, and as well, you know, focus on other, you know, revenues of income, which was the YouTube thing. And the YouTube thing was actually just a blessing in disguise, just because when my wife came out with the idea about starting a YouTube channel, we did it because we found out we could make money. And I also wanted to help out other guys in lawn care to teach them the tricks that I had learned. I never thought that I would be getting reached out to by big companies and also getting, you know, equipment sent to me, going on trips, and also getting paid in sponsorships. So, I mean, I've worked with some of the biggest companies that you can work with, like Husqvarna, Echo, Stihl, Gravely mowers, Kohler engines is what we're working on right now. Last week we just had this big event through Kohler that they sponsor for, that my buddy and I started, giving back to the lawn care community that just took off. And so we already know that this is going to be a big success in that. And what has really benefited from us was, so we go to work, we mow, we're making money. We do a YouTube video, we make money on that. That's and then the companies reach out to us and send us products, blowers, trimmers,
for
mowers,
free.
For free. Well, in exchange for a video, right?
Sure, yeah.
But they are in a sense, saving. So that's saving the business money, because when I need a new trimmer, I don't go out and buy one at my dealer. I call up Husqvarna or I call up whatever company saying, hey, we would like to test out your new piece of equipment. Can you guys send that to us? We'll review it. And then that saves the business money. So it's this whole circle of the business is making money, but then the YouTube is helping the business make money. And then, everything is just kind of piling on one another and just helps each other in this circle where we're just basically saving a lot of money, making profit, and just doing really well.
That is so dope. That is awesome.
Yeah,
well, last thing I'll say, we'll talk about, you guys had the idea of potentially building some tiny homes on your property,
correct,
doing the Airbnb thing. And we don't have to talk about exact numbers, but I know that when you bought this house, a couple years later, it was worth almost $200,000 more than what you paid for it.
The day we built it.
Really?
So we were, with me being able to do all the general contracting, I didn't know.
So you built this house basically yourself?
Correct. Yeah.
That's
so a lot of the labor I didn't do. So what I did was I took over. So typically in our area, you have general contractors. So if someone wants to build a house, if they don't know how to, do drywall or whatever like that, but you want to sub that out to another contractor, that's what I took over. And typically general contractors charge about 10 to 20% on top of whatever the house is. So me taking over, I saved us that, whatever the price of the home, which was several $1,000s.
Nice.
And basically the goal was I would do as much around this house as I can to save as much money as possible. So I did all the siding on, so we built a house and a shop. So our house is 2,100 square feet. That's just the living space without a 600 something foot attached garage. And then we also have a detached 1,200 square foot shop, which is where we run the business out of. So with those two alone, I was able to do all the general contracting, the things that I couldn't do, like the foundation that are very crucial and the electrical that are very crucial to the house that could potentially cause damage that if something happens to it, it's going to cost a lot of money. I took over all the stuff that isn't as important, like for instance the siding. If there's a leak on the siding, I can easily go in and fix that. So doing the siding, so I did all the siding for the shop and house. I did all the painting, I did all the trim, I did as much on the roof as possible. I roofed my whole entire shop. I helped my buddy do this one and just made a lot of connections with a lot of guys, which saved us a lot of money. So yeah, so the day that we built the house, basically the day we moved into it, before we even paid our house payment, we had at least $200,000 in equity in the property, or in the house.
That's crazy.
So yeah, so we were for years contemplating whether or not we wanted to build or buy, and I think definitely building was the best.
Yeah,
and just to watch, from the ground up, to see that this was just a flat piece of land.
Yeah,
and every morning at showing up and just seeing a part of the house get built, saying one day I'll be in that. It was just really cool to actually see the whole process of how a house is built and be the one that was in charge of that. So
yeah, and you were able to create $200,000 of net worth pretty much out of nothing because you built it from the ground up. Well, that is awesome, Jason. Thank you so much for coming on today.
Yeah, bud.
Do you have anything any advice for somebody out there who maybe doesn't know what they're trying to do? I think your story is so cool. You started a lawn care business, you saved for years living in this tiny home, then you built this house with your bare hands. Now you're killing it on YouTube and affiliates and there's all these other things. What advice would you have for people out there that maybe want to make a little bit more money or, don't want to do things in the traditional way?
Sometimes the weirdest and the strangest ideas can actually make you a lot of money, like YouTube. It was, just several years ago in the lawn care realm, a lot of guys made fun of me. They called us sellouts when we started working with companies. They didn't get the whole concept, and now everyone's jumping on board.
Yep.
So back what was an idea of, telling people, I record videos and post on YouTube, and they're just like, that sounds stupid, or okay, whatever. Now they see me now, and they're like, crap, I wish I would have done that.
Yeah.
So if you have an idea that you love, that's a passion for you, then just go for it, because you never know what kind of stream of income that could turn into, And just putting some positive people around you is the biggest thing. Staying out of debt and just being wise with your money. If you had the opportunity, instead of listening to music, I could have listened to some music while I was working, but instead I put business tapes in my head. And instead of learning the lyrics, a song that means nothing. Sometimes music means a lot.
Yeah.
I love music. But instead I was putting the words of wise men that were way beyond where I wanted to be. And I didn't want to look at my life and be like, man, I wasted it. And I wish I knew what I wish I knew now, like say if I'm 50 years old, I wish I knew now back at age 25.
Totally.
And I knew that at a young age, and I thought I want to get as much information shoved in my head as possible to be able to do this kind of stuff. So just putting the right people in front of you, the right motivation, and the right people in your circle, that is for sure.
Awesome.
So.
Sweet. Well, hey, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, buddy.
If you want to subscribe to Jason, you can find him at Ambro's Landscaping, your YouTube channel.
If you like lawn care videos, then you can bring it on. So.
Yeah, awesome. Well, that's where you can find him. And hey, thank you so much for coming on. It was a pleasure to speak to you.
Thank
and
you,
all right,
buddy.
guys, I will see you at the next video. Peace.
See you guys.